Hello, everyone. How are you? If you're here, say hi, give me a shout out in the comments. I can actually see them. Um, and this is it. It's our last time together. So I really definitely want to say hi and thank you all for being here with me. I cannot tell you how much fun I've had getting to know you, and hopefully, I will still see you around October, November, and December, and into 2021 when we'll all be so busy with travel. So, first, I have to explain that I live in Austin, Texas, which is very south. Hello, Sylvia. Hello, Kirsten. I see you. And we have two seasons, hot and hotter, but suddenly, out of nowhere, we got fall today, maybe because it's almost October and Halloween is my favorite holiday. And so I went full on with the Halloween. Also, because I am taking my first COVID trip next week. I am getting on a plane and I am going to Disney World. So, you guys all know how excited that makes me. So, I can now take off my ears, but I just had to be excited for a minute. So, before we dive into creating a winning blog post and really write it out and do it, I wanted to answer. I got a great question during the week about Showit versus a ConvertKit and a MailChimp. So I kind of want to explain that Showit is a platform where you can have a WordPress a blog or a WordPress website. And it is other competition for that is considered to be Squarespace or Wix or Weebly or even the free website where you don't get the free WordPress site, which is wordpress.com, where you don't get your direct URL, and it's pretty limited in what you can do versus a WordPress.org site that you own and becomes yours. An email service provider, also known as an ESP, is what ConvertKit and MailChimp are. Also, a Constant Contact, Hi Mimi. There's a dozen of them. Drip. I can't even think of all of them, and I feel like I've tried all of them too. And you always want to make sure that your website and your email service provider talk to one another, because you want to be able to collect emails and use them for e-newsletters or to contact your subscribers, your clients, your future clients, all of that. So if that didn't explain it in enough detail, or you want me to share my screen about that, I invite you to set up a time. I am going to throw the link right up here in the comments. Of course not. I'm going to throw the link right up here in the comments on how to make an appointment with me, and you are free to schedule a consultation with me, and we can talk more about any of your questions or anything that you need to say. Okay, so let's get into it. Right? I am sharing my screen with you here. Maybe I wasn't, but now I am. I hope you could see me before. Okay, so here we are in the back of my blog. This is a Showit blog, which means that my site on the front end is a Showit template that was personalized for me, and this is where my blog is. This is a standard WordPress blog that will look the same for any WordPress site, whether it's a Showit site or not. It will look like this. Okay, so that I just got a lost connection on my website. So it's automatically backing up. Yay, thank you for doing that. We like it when that happens. So that is something that, technology I didn't count on. I'm going to reload it and hope that, because I really was going to post what I'm going to write about today. So today is International Podcast Day. And on one fun fact about me that I actually share on my other website, my Marketing Your Travel Agency website, is that I, at any given time, have like 80 podcasts in my feed that I cannot listen to all of them. But I love podcasts. I'm like addicted. So I wanted to write a post about International Podcast Day. So I am just going to leave that up there. I'm not titling it because up here in the title yet, because I want to see how many podcasts I can find that I'm going to recommend. Like, is it going to be 5? Is it going to be 7? Is it going to be 10? I'm going to look for that kind of number so that then I can title it 7 Best Travel Podcasts 2020. And I'll show you how I got that very easily. Back to Google. I was typing in Best Travel and out came Best Travel Podcasts and Best Travel Podcasts 2020. So I know that those are things that people are searching. So I'm going to try and do Best Travel Podcasts 2020. And because I know when I share the URL, if people automatically know that it's going to be quick and they're just like basically 5 or 7 or no more than 10, and numbers are really good for SEO. So that is why I'm leaving it blank at this point. Okay, so then I just went into Google and I searched Best Travel Podcasts, and I came up with a few sites that I liked. So first one is Travel and Leisure. The reason I went to this site is because I tag Travel and Leisure with their hashtag TLPics. I use that in almost every Instagram post because someday they're going to pick up my Instagram post and it's going to go viral. That's like my social media goal in life. So I went to them because if any chance I can to link back to their site is like, I'm all about it. But I want to be sure that any podcasts that I'm recommending to my readers is not one that is going after my ICA or my client, and is not linked with another travel agency. I also want to make sure when I'm looking for podcasts to recommend that it does speak to my ICA. So this podcast, Let's Go Together, probably really speaks to my ICA because it is by Travel and Leisure, and my client is a Travel and Leisure reader. Like, my clients are all about travel and leisure. And it has some good stories, and it's an award-winning travel expert and a licensed pilot and scuba diver, and it's a woman. My ICA is typically a woman. So that one I like. So I'm going to basically cut and paste this over here. So you may notice that I had my topic all day today, but I hadn't written it yet. When I'm only writing 1 or 2 posts a week, I don't actually batch my content in advance. I pick my topics and I know them in my calendar, and I even have them written on my calendar. See, it says International Podcast Day. But I don't write them in advance because right now the news is coming fast and furious about travel. And sometimes I want to be able to pivot quickly, and there's no reason I can't recommend travel podcasts later. It just happens to fit today. But especially for my readers, so instead I ended up sharing this on social media. There was really big news out of Disney and that they're having massive layoffs. So I I shared that to my social media, but I could have written a blog about some of the stories or what it was like when I worked there and used that as an opportunity to talk about my personal story and what inspired me to get into travel. But I wanted to be happy today, so I didn't go that direction. But that's why I typically lay out the calendar month by month so that I know what kind of holidays I can talk to my ICA about, but I don't necessarily batch my content or write it in advance. I do block out about an hour a day to write it. I'm not going to lie, it takes me that long if I haven't already really put this together. So you're seeing what I would do. So then I'm going to go through here and see if there's anything else that really speaks to me. So here's one that's by Expedia, which is all about bucket list travel, which sounds fascinating, but I don't ever want to drive anybody who reads my blog to Expedia. So I'm not going to use that one. Van life does not apply to my ICA at all. And I don't want one that gives out people, tells people how to get, travel advice about how to use plane tickets with miles, right? I want to sell it to them. So I'm not using that. Now, Zero to Travel is interesting. In each episode, listeners hear actionable advice to help you travel better and smarter. So before I put that in my list, I would probably research Jason Moore and his interviewees and find out who he is. So for now, I'm not going to list that. Now, Travel with Rick Steves, I'm going to list because he is a travel and TV personality. He's someone else that has a respectful reputation. So again, I'm just going to cut and paste and put that there. So that's really it for my travel and leisure podcasts. As I keep going, those are the ones I'm going to use. So then I wanted to do another article about 8 travel podcasts, and this is from the Travel Channel. So I, again, love the Travel Channel, and I listen to it all the time. And these are perfect for daily commutes or long flights. They cover topics from all angles. Dirtbag Diaries, I think, is hysterical. Now, it doesn't really speak to my ICA, but it does talk about, but right now in the US, everybody is doing travel this way. They're kind of camping or they're renting RVs. This is just a big travel trend right now. So I might want to use that. I definitely love Airplane Mode by Away. It's, again, it's not a travel agent or a supplier talking. It is by people who make luggage, and they have an online magazine and now a podcast. So that's another one that I know I want to use. Okay. So then, I know that I'm just going through these again and going, okay, well, I could use that, but I'm not going to. Gravy is a food podcast, which I would love to list a food podcast, but this one is about Southern foodways. It's gravy, so it's not really speaking directly to my ICA, but maybe that gives me something else I can search, like a really good food podcast to use. But I also went to my podcast Apple store, my podcast store, and I looked here. And here I see the Travel with Rick Steves again. So I know, again, I want to do that. Women Who Travel by Condé Nast. Again, great for my ICA. Let's Go Together. We talked about the travel and leisure. I definitely would like to list a Disney podcast, but I want to be really careful about which one. Like Dreams Unlimited is direct competition to me, so I don't want to use that. I don't want to use ear to their Disney podcast. So the one that I know of that I listen to that's a Disney podcast, but it's done by a journalist and not by an agent, is Very Amusing with Carly Wiesel. So this is, I want to see, there we go. So this is the description of Carly's podcast, and I would probably have to do a screenshot and then do it through Canva, or I like do a screenshot like this. I'll show you instead of telling you. I'll just show you, and then upload that into Canva. And then I also said I wanted to check about a food podcast. Well, I like amusement park food, so let's see if we get...
Pod Save America in Iowa is brought to you by ZipRecruiter.
So let's see if I can find one on theme park food. Okay, awesome. So Carly's comes up. The Theme Park Rangers is a great one because it's not Disney specific. They also talk about Universal, and they are journalism. They write for the Orlando Sentinel. So that could be another one. This one I would have to check out and see if these people who do Mad Chatters are a travel agent. So right now I feel pretty good. I am going to go ahead and do this one too. I'm going to go to their page and I'm going to, again, try and copy, and it's not going to let me. That one's short enough that I'm probably just going to copy it over. But another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and save the artwork. So now here I am in Canva. And when you don't know what size you want, I always just pick Facebook because I know they're nice and square. So I know that I want some of the podcast artwork, and for that I'll go to Google, but I know I need a featured image. Now I actually subscribe to some social stock photography that has good podcast images, but I knew for this I wanted just a really clear white one. I love coffee. This just really speaks to me in particular. It's clean, it's white, it's got the headphones, and I want my whole coffee in there, but I can move it over just a little because I really want the headphones in there too. I don't mind if they get slightly cut off, but as long as people know what that is. So now here I am. I'm going to download this, and I'm going to download it as a JPEG. The only reason I'm doing that is because it's a smaller size image, and I don't want to make my blog really image heavy. It takes up more room on the server. And so for purposes of people reading online, it doesn't have to be a PNG. It can be a JPEG. It takes up less room on the server, which in the long run is good. And it's you know, it's fine is what I'm trying to say. Now, I'm just going to save this actually right now to my downloads, and I'm going to basically put podcast blog featured image. Okay, so now I'm going to come over here back to my little show it, and let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got the Very Amusing is 5, and then if I got one more for food, I could say five best travel podcasts for 2020. And I got the perfect URL, like the perfect search thing in there. So then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to put it in my keyword. Only I'm going to take out the 5 and do best travel podcast for 2020 and look at my SEO. Yes, I see you're not happy. So I'm going to add my featured image. So this is my media library. I have to upload it. I saved it into my downloads. Podcast featured covered image. And now over here, I'm going to use it. I'm going to name it the same thing I named my title. Best Travel Podcasts 2020. And that's going to be my title too. I'm not going to caption it, and my description is basically the same thing. Best Travel Podcasts 2020 blog post. Okay, now I know I'm going to add a sixth one, so I'm going to call it plus a bonus pod for you. And then I'll talk about that. So now that I kind of have the bones, then I'm going to start putting together some of this. Now I know Let's Go Together has podcast artwork. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to search. Podcast. What's the name of it? Let's Go Together. And I want to bring up images. And there we go. And there's a really pretty image of it because it's a podcast, and I'm going to link it back to Travel and Leisure. Save image as, and it's just artwork that I can use in an article. I'm not taking a picture that was taken by someone and that might have copyright. I can use it. So now I actually keep a folder in my travel agency blog. I have a folder for podcast images. And that just makes it easier for me so that I know where to find all the images that I'm going to use in this podcast, in this blog post. So let's go together. Awesome. Next, we have Travel with Rick Steves. So same thing. Travel with Rick Steves. Images. So again, I want to use the artwork one, not a picture of him, because a picture of him, he might have taken it or somebody might have taken it of him and it could be copyrighted. This one's probably on his own blog, but again, I don't want to risk using it. So I'm going to use the podcast artwork, and it's perfect also because they're all going to be the same size. And I'm not going to have to worry about sizing them out for the post. Okay, now I go back here and I'm like, Dirtbag Diaries. Awesome. And I like this one, the artwork. And it's also the same artwork they use on Podacy. So I know that it is the podcast artwork. And finally, I know I had Very Amusing by Carly Weisel, and there's her artwork. Hi, I can spell today. Now you'll notice some of these automatically saved as PNGs instead of JPEGs, and that's fine. I could change it if I wanted to, but I'm just leaving it as is because, again, why make life hard? And I also know I'm using Theme Park Rangers from the Orlando Sentinels podcast. I also happen to know one of these journalists, so I'm like, oh cool, I can use a friend's podcast who hopefully is not gonna be out of a job once there's less news to report about the theme parks in Orlando. Okay, so now I have that. Now I mentioned that I was going to have to cut and paste some of what Carly said. And I've decided that this is not the cleanest way to do it. So I'm not sure that I'm going to let it go this way. But for now, again, I use Square whenever I'm waiting. And I upload. And this is all free for you on Canva, P.S. If you wanted to do something more interesting, you can take a screenshot on your phone of the pod, which I do for social media. So let's see. I wanted to upload my screenshot. So there it is. There's my screenshot. And I'm going to put it over here so that if I wanted to use this image instead of just cutting and pasting, but I don't like how it looks. It's not very clean. So I'm going to end up basically, since I can't cut and paste unless I can find it on Google. Let's see. Very amusing podcast. Let's go back here and see if I can find it in the description here. And it's not the best one. Let's see. But this might do. So I'm gonna post it over here. Oh, and while I'm doing this, I see that I didn't get the artwork for airplane mode, so I'm going to go back and do that. Back on Google, here we go. As I forget the name. Airplane mode. So you guys are seriously seeing my true process. Like if I had sat down this morning and been a good girl and said, okay, I'm going to post a blog today, this would have been exactly how I would have gotten it. Okay, so I'm going to use this one. And the reason is instead of this one by Stitcher, even though this is a better image, this one is the one that they do on as they send it. And the reason I just happen to know is because, again, I'm addicted to podcasts, and this is from Libsyn, and it's got their URL. So I know that this is the one that they use, and this is Stitcher, which might and could be proprietary. So I'm going to use this one. And now it's going to save in the same place, airplane mode. Okay, now before I even touch my writing here, I'm going to add media to my blog. And the reason is it's just easier to upload them all and tag them. And so I am going to do this. I'm going to open it, and it's going to upload them all. If I needed to edit them, I can edit them all together, just like this. Yay. I know the first one that I have is Let's Go Together. So I'm going to uncheck these others. And my alt text is going to be my title again. Best Travel Podcasts of 2020. Now my title is going to be the podcast. Let's Go Together Travel Podcast. And then that's also going to be the description. Now the reason I used similar wording but not full on the same exact wording is because I don't want to over keyword. I don't want Google to think that I'm doing too much, like that I'm purely doing keywords because they're onto that and they know that I'm going to do that. Now, I want to link back to the URL for Let's Go Together for travel and leisure. So again, I have to search it. I have to find the link. I copy the link. I come back over here and I paste the link. And now it's going to link to that URL. And it's going to be full size. And there it is, but it's not where I want it. So I cut and paste and copy, and I bring it up here. Now I am like, I kind of would rather have it to the left, so I'm going to do it like that. And it just went in the wrong place. So now I paste it right there, and I've got my image, and I've got the text the way I want it formatted. And this I'm going to make sure is an H2 because it's the name of the podcast. Awesome. So now I've got a basic thing that I'm going with. Now I'm going to write my introduction. So let's see. I love me some podcasts. And I'm talking directly to my 30-year-old who's planning her 28-year-old to 32-year-old who's planning her bachelorette party at Walt Disney World. Love me some at any given time. And I'm talking directly to her in my head. Any given time, I have 60 or so in my feed. Not that I have time to listen to them all. But I know they're there. I know they are there for when I need them. Yay! Okay, so I want to set this up. So I'm going to make that an H1 when I need them. Since today is International Podcast Day, I thought it would be fun to show you my top 5 favorites. So I'm talking about me here, my top 5 favorites. This is something that refers to me. So I want to link that to my About page. So I get my little link thing. I know I want to link it to my About page, so I'm going to hit the options. I'm going to hit sometimes it's nice enough to autofill. Let's see. So then I have to come over here and pull up my website and click my About page. And again, cut and paste that link. And I do want to open it in a new tab because then people have 2 tabs open on my website. Yay, Google thinks, oh, they're super interested. They're looking at more content. And I'm going to add that link. Yay. You could choose to have this open in your own tab, but I always choose to have things open in other tabs, especially if I'm linking away from the site. Those always. Since today, okay, so now I'm like, well, today is International Podcast Day should really be my headline. So cut and paste. Make that back to paragraph. Hit that. And now make this capital. And now that's going to be my headline. Okay, and then I would fill this out. Now I know that this is an H2 and it's also in italics. So when I come down here, I want that to be the same. And just so you can kind of see, I'm going to write an intro to this and say why I like it, because it celebrates diversity. And I'm going to mention travel. So I don't actually need to, let's go together, celebrates diversity in travel. One of the biggest reasons I like it. It started this past June in response to the BLM. That gives me something else I can link to that's highly popular in the US right now, the BLM. In response to the BLM movement and wanting to increase diverse voices in travel. Okay, so now I can take this out and I can say the website describes the pod like this. And then I can put that in quotes. So I don't have to rewrite everything. And these are all awesome links because they're already there, and that's awesome. Now, if I really want to take this whole 5 best travel podcasts, I would say number 1 best travel podcast for 2020. Let's go together. Okay, so now before I do anything else, I want to see if I'm on the right track. So my SEO has gone from frowny face to, okay, maybe we like it. So now I'm going to look at the analysis. I know I need to put my key phrase in my introduction. So I need to come back up here and check out my introduction. So I love me some podcasts. At any given time, I have 60 or so in my feed. Let's see. I'd like it kind of up at the front. So how about this? Especially travel podcast. I use them to inspire my wanderlust. So I'm using a hashtag. And for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link it to some social media since I use that hashtag. So I'm going to come over here to Instagram and pull up my profile. Wrong one. Okay, so I can't do it right now. Well, I can go to Michelle Visits Mickey. I don't know how I got signed out of this and signed into my other one. There we go. So there, now I have that link and I can go back here to my post and I can link that to my social. So yippee yay. Again, I want it to open in a new tab. So I've got some cool links that go internally and to my social media. I need to be able to link to some of my other blog posts. So let's see, especially travel podcasts. At any given time, I use them to inspire my wanderlust. At any given time, I have 60 or so in my feed. Not that I have time, but I know they're there for when I need them. It's kind of like my comfort food for my ears. Okay, so I'm always writing about food. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to open up my blog posts and be like, What can I talk about? What is comfort food? My dining bucket list. There we go. And now I've internally linked to something here. So now I go back down here and I say, what is my, I'm getting close. So I'm getting some things that I can make improvements on, but I've got my good outbound links, my good internal links, my key phrase is good. I haven't used the key phrase before. I've got it in my subheadings. I've got my images tagged and attributed. And once I finish out the text, it'll have about 550 words. So that's great. So the things I know I would need to do are to change my snippet so that this is what shows when someone pulls up this post in Google. So I can edit the snippet. And I have a question. So I know you went over that. Please explain how Yoast is connected. Awesome question, because that's what I'm using right now, Sylvia. So this is Yoast. Again, there's a free one for WordPress. You do not have to buy the premium. I did because then I get more information that I need to teach it to others. It's not any additional information that you would need to know. So, and how it links up is here. So this is the back end. I call this the back end. What it really is under the hood to a blog post. Now, before I go away from this, I'm going to save my draft because I really am actually going to post this when I finish it. So I'm going to go over here to plugins, and here is where you can plug in amazing, they're called plugins. So this is the under the hood of your website. So remember, the front facing looks like this. This is the front of it. This is the back end of it. So people don't see this except for you guys, because I'm sharing it with you. So one thing I see is that I've got some updates. So I know I need to update some. In fact, Yoast is one of them. So I hit plugins, I click update, and I apply it. I've already backed it up because my Show It automatically hosts to my WordPress engine. So that's where my backup is kept. I'm not going to do that right now because that's way too complicated to sign in. But so I've got my Yoast here, and that's where it plugs in. So I can activate it. I can go in here and show you how my settings are set up for Yoast SEO. So my dashboards, these are the configuration that you can set up once and leave alone. So my site is live. It's ready to be indexed by Google. My other site, for example, Marketing Your Travel Agency, is not. So I haven't even installed Yoast again. That's also another reason I got premium, is I can use the same license on both my sites. But again, the free one is going to be more than enough for what you guys need. I tell it what does my site represent? A small offline business. If it's purely a blog, like some people do that, then so you go all the way through the setup, and then you end up with that beautiful thing at the bottom of each post where you can check and make sure that your post is SEO optimized. So I can go back here to my posts, and this is how you can maneuver in the back end of your web hop. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and edit. And I'm going to keep going down here and doing what I need to do to get my SEO to where I want it to be. I can also, if I go up here, I can check my readability. My readability is already okay with what I have, and that's great. Again, they think of Greenlight SEO as being for like a 5th grader. Well, 5th graders are not my target audience. That's not who's reading my blog. So I'm really okay with SEO being okay. I still haven't found my food blog yet. Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about my readability needs improvement. So I would like to get my readability to okay. My SEO, I'm going to get to a green here. So one thing I know I need to do is edit my snippet. So this is the meta description. So when you are on Google, I'm just going to pull up anything here. When you're on Google, this is what the meta description is. So you want it to have your keywords in there. So in honor of International Podcast Day, because people who really love podcasts, and especially travel podcasts, are actually searching for International Podcast Day. Honor of it, I'm giving you my 5 best travel podcasts of 2020. So listen to while you're dreaming of your next trip. So little known fact, I actually try never to use dreaming when talking about my business, because my business is Making Memories Travel. And there is a Disney agency that is like Dreamin' Disney or something like that. And they get really persnickety if you use that in your, like, if they find it in your social media, they will try and get you shut down. So, but this is my blog and I'm okay with it in this case. If somehow I could say to listen to while you're thinking of your next travel memory, but then I get the red thing. So while you're dreaming of your next trip, it goes back to green. It's the right length. As you can see, it doesn't cut off. So I'm going to go with it. So yay, I can close my snippet editor and there it is. So now I need to do my keyword distribution better, which means when I go back and rewrite again, I need to do that. But all in all, we're doing good in terms of where we are. So I would insert more images. I would talk about why I like this podcast. Then in the end, I would do my little bonus pod, which would be food. And then in the end, I'm going to lead with a real call to action. You can find more of my favorite podcasts if you follow me on, you can find my continuing updates of podcasts as well as those of the MMT team. And here I'm going to list to the MMT page. Instead of just my about page, I'm going to list, which is still hidden, but I'm going to list to my team's page as well as those of the MM team of the entire MM team by joining our Facebook group. And then I would link to my Facebook. And that's my call to action. So join us there. People need actual directions. They don't know. If I say by joining our Facebook group and I hot link it, that's one thing. But if I say join us there and I hot link that whole phrase, joining our Facebook group, join us there with my Facebook link, that's a call to action. And going back, before I do my call to action, I would talk more about why these are my 5 favorites. So my formula is I tell them what I'm going to tell them. So I am going to tell them my 5 favorite podcasts. I tell them. So I tell them what I'm going to tell them. Then I tell them. And then my conclusion, I tell them what I told them, and I give them a call to action. So that is how I write a blog post. So I would love to hear if there's any more questions. Are you doing anything to collect their email addresses? So I do collect email addresses on my actual website. I cannot show it to you here because it's me logged in, but I have a pop-up here, and I actually use a program called Leadpages for this, and I will share it with you. I will tell you it is extremely pricey and it's not really necessary. But I joined before I had my website up so I could start collecting email addresses before my website was even up. So I have what is called a landing page, and my landing page looks like this. Foolproof tricks for you to experience the, oh, I'm not sharing my screen yet. Again, I have to share my screen again. Sorry. So this is called Leadpages, and this is what my, what it looks like. Foolproof tips and tricks for you to get about the adult side of Disney. And then you can download it by putting in your email address. And then this is linked directly to my email service provider, which I use Flowdesk. And I can show you what that looks like as well. So I use Flowdesk, which is really, really new. It's in beta. If you'd like, if you want more information about it, I do have a link that gives you the beta pricing. It is $19 a month, no matter how big your list grows. So I am all about my Flowdesk, and it creates really pretty emails and workflows. And here is where I have my audience, my subscribers, and my segments. So my landing page, when they download this freebie, they get my email address. So you guys got one too. When you download my first invitation, when you downloaded the calendar, that's how I got your email addresses, so that I can continue to email you like I have been throughout the challenge. I will be the first to tell you that I love it because it's $19 and it creates really, really pretty emails, but I am still learning it. And how to create workflows. So you may have received some emails that you weren't supposed to at certain times. So forgive me that. But then also here I am able to on Leadpages, I am able to upload the downloads. So here's the one for the blog content. The one that I just sent you today in the email I sent out at 3:45 with the 7 steps, or the putting it all together. I think it was 5 steps. That is not available to anybody and as a lead magnet, but I'm probably going to create a landing page around it to try and get more people to maybe join me when I do this again. So it will take me a long time to write that whole blog post again, so I'm not going to keep you guys on the phone that long because I know you've committed to be here and I want to respect your time. So are there other questions? And if not, I do invite you to use that link that is in the comments below and schedule some time with me. I also want to let you know that I am working on something for October so that you have the calendar again. So if you're ready to start, you'll have that calendar. And if you want full templates of a blog post for a couple of, I think 2 to 3, maybe 4 days, I'm going to do some templates. I'm going to have those available for you as well. Kirsten, you did not get any emails at all? Okay, well, I am sorry about that, and I am going to take care of that for you. And I will send you all the goodies that you have missed. I'm really sorry. I wonder if I mistyped your email in there or if it's the AU. I will look into that. So, but thank you for letting me know. I'm literally writing it down right now. Kirsten emails. Oh, thank you, Lily. I appreciate it very much. And thank you, Sylvia. Well, so if you're still feeling a little overwhelmed, please book that time with me. I don't want you to leave feeling overwhelmed. I want you to leave ready to go write at least one post and post one post for October. So book that time with me and you can ask me questions. You can tell me where you're at. I can tell you what the next step is. And that goes for everyone here. Feel free. Send me stuff. I love reading the stuff you've sent me. Kirsten, I know I owe you feedback. It is coming, I promise. Life has been, as you know, for me, it's been pretty hectic. So, I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. It was my first time to teach, so all of your positive comments have meant so much to me. And yes, you will absolutely still have access to all the videos, even the super special one on YouTube. It's not going anywhere. I'm just not sharing that link with anyone but you guys. So, and hopefully you'll join me again when I do this next time around. Okay. Any other last chance questions? Okay, well, let's hear it for October, Halloween, the fall in the States, Kirsten, and all of you getting ready to post your first blog. I'm super proud of you.